Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Jim Dar's Tone Shifter channel, where we show you how to take any guitar and make it sound and play better. So join me in the Guitar Cabin, our musical sanctuary from day-to-day life. Today we're going to be working on a, well, you guessed it, a V. But what kind of V is it? It's an Epiphone V. Let's take a look. Is it a regular Epiphone V or a special V? Well, I'd say it's a special V. That is pretty. Not my cup of tea, but it's pretty nonetheless. Anyway, the client has asked for me to take a look at the pickups. Says that they're squealing under loud volume, and just looking at the pole pieces, I can imagine that there's a lot of vibration between that. But let's dig into this and see what we see. This particular Epiphone Flying V was refinished in like a purple metallic automotive paint. Gold hardware was added. Nice guitar, except when the client uses it in a very, very loud volume situation, he has difficulty controlling the feedback or the squeal. So we're going to take a look at the pickups today. One of the first things I think you'll notice from the earlier shot is these pole pieces and covers don't look like they're touching the bobbins themselves, but let's find out. Let's dig into it. The fingerboard looks very, very dry, so we'll oil that up as well. Well, okay, we've got the strings off. Let's start taking the pick guard off. I can actually just take the pickup rings off first and check. First, we'll remove the bridge. This is the most boring part of guitar setup and maintenance, but it's also some of the most rewarding, doing an exploration to figure out what's wrong to help somebody out. Everybody's fortunate to have played in front of a live audience. There's nothing like it when things click, and there's nothing like it when things don't click and things just go awful. I remember one time in a band playing at a high school gymnasium, and we were booed. We had things thrown at us, but we did make some money. We had about $1.75 in change, mostly nickels and pennies, thrown at us. So we thank the audience for the tip. So the fun part of this, obviously, is being able to work on different guitars, being able to set them up so they'll play great, and helping somebody get the sound that they're after. Whoa, look at that. Looks like we've got a coil tap or face switch, toggle. These are from the pickups. So ground and hot. This is a straw. Interesting. It's got ground and two hots. Well, I've decided either way whether or not he wants to go ahead and wax pot these and see what happens, or if we should just go ahead and replace these with some other pickups. So what I'm going to do is remove the pickups. I've cut the wires already. I've labeled where they went. I'm not going to try to figure out what's going on here. It seems to be working fine. And we're going to take the pickups out now. Let me take this straw out. Yeah, it's a good soda. Here comes the bridge pickup, and I'm going to mark this B for bridge. It's a very clever thing to do. I do this mostly as a hobby, helping friends out and acquaintances out, former bandmates. I was always picked to be in bands that the musicians were much better than me, and somehow they always came to me with their equipment and said, "Hey, Jim, my P bass is fretting out at the G fret. What can I do?" Oop, I'm going to put these there. I'm going to put one there. And I was lucky, though, to be able to play with those people, because it helped me realize, one, that I can't be a musician, gigging musician, although I love to play in front of a live audience. I just don't have the ear for it. Okay, so I'm going to do two things. I'm going to these are just turning a little green, so I'm going to buff those out. Then I'm going to oil it, but it's a good looking neck. Let's do one other thing here. Let me explain what this tool is. It's a 1-inch oak dowel with felt attached to it, and then rubber. So what I do is I'll take a very, very fine grit of paper. This is 1,000 grit. I'll wrap it around tightly, and I'll just go back and forth like this. And the effect is to polish those frets up, which we've done. Check. So now I'm going to do the same thing with my fingers. A lot of people don't like to do this simply because it leaves these marks right there, but you can really get those out pretty easily, and I'll show you how to in a second. Then I'm going to wrap it up. Some people use steel wool. I'm not a big fan of that, especially around pickups, because steel is an iron, and iron is attracted to magnets. So what's going to happen, all of the little filings that come off of the steel wool will be attracted to your magnet. And that's not good. Okay, I take one of these brushes, brush it out, get all the loose stuff off. Now let me show you a little bit of a trick. There's still a little bit left in there. So what I can do is pull some of that up. See how it's coming out? One thing that I didn't mention, on a lacquered board, a maple board, or a finished fingerboard, you don't want to use any steel wool, any sandpaper, any type of abrasive on that. What you really want to do in that situation is tape it off. Now let's oil the board. You can always tell when you're getting it evenly because you look at the reflection of the light on the wood, and you can see any spots that you might have missed. Okay, that looks good. Looks mighty good. Here's my soldering portable soldering station. Not sure what type of solder they used on this pickup cover, but I couldn't get any of my irons hot enough to melt it. Well, this is just a stubborn mess. I'm going to use an old fine tooth fret saw. Ah, success! You have to be especially careful when using any type of instrument that will go down the side of the pickup cover to make sure you don't cut into any of the coils. If you cut into the coil, well, you have to rewind the pickup. And I don't think they've been wax potted. We're through. There's a big chunk of solder. Look at that. See that big chunk of solder right there? They had trouble melting it too. I'm going to cut that off. So after carefully removing both covers and cleaning them up as well as inspecting the pickups, I reattached the covers using a special clamp I use for this. I then took it to my wax potting area and potted them until no bubbles came out. Both of those steps I'll cover in a future video. Well, just heard back a little while ago from the owner, and he wanted to keep these DiMarzio pickups in there and wanted me to try wax potting them after resoldering the covers back on to get rid of some of that microphonic squeal. And that seemed to have done the trick. I did it offline, put the guitar back together, strung it up, played it through my Bassman 10, cranked to the point where I got yelled at, and no squeals. So hopefully that solved it. Both pickups in phase. Bridge pickup. Neck pickup. Actually, it's a good sounding guitar, and I let him know that the problem seems to have been fixed. So let's take a look at what causes microphonic feedback. It's a squeal. It's a vibration in the pickup itself, either from the coils being wound too loosely or the metal in the pickup is somehow vibrating against each other, like a pickup cover not being solidly fastened to the pickup, or it could be the springs. So this is the case of the Squealing V. Problem solved.